Hi, my name is Wintersgill from Knitting in the Red, and today we're going to talk about how to crochet a mesh scarf. So you can go wild with texture and color as shown in this example, and this is using a aran weight heavyweight yarn with some pencil roving and some hand spun yarn, which goes from very thin lace to very thick aran weight. So you can combine all different sorts of textures to make your mesh scarves. So depending on the density that you would like, either choose to make the length or the width of the scarf. I'm going to be making the width of the scarf. So I'm going to be chaining the number of chains for the width. Then I'm going to chain 3 extra chains for my turning chain and my double crochet. And I'm going to start the shell and V stitch, which is going to form my mesh. So I'm going to place into the 4th chain for my hook. I'm going to make 4 double crochet stitches. So my turning chain counts as the first double crochet. Then into the next stitch I'm going to make a double crochet and a chain, and then 1 more double crochet and then another shell. So I'm going to put 4 double crochet stitches into the next stitch. And I repeat this process of making shell and V stitches for my first row, and then I'm going to make more edging stitches. So when I reach the last stitch of my row, I'm just going to make a V stitch for the last stitch. And then when I turn, I'm going to make 3 chains for my turning chain and then turn, so that twist is going to keep my edge even. And then I'm going to place a double crochet into the chain 1 of my V stitch in the previous row, and then I'm going to chain 2 and skip 1 double crochet into the next double crochet, make a double crochet, and repeat this process of making a chain 2 and a double crochet in every other double crochet. So this is where your textures and colors can come alive, because you can choose which kind of technique you want to use in the mesh pattern. So you can place the different textures in the different rows to create a different effect for each type of mesh that we're making. So I recommend for the denser kind of mesh, for the shell and V stitch, that we use our lighter yarn in our different textures. And then with the more open lattice mesh stitch that we're forming right now with the double crochet and chain 2 arcs, we'll use the heavier yarn for that part of our row so that we can see each individual texture very well. When I get to the last stitch of my row, I want to make sure that I make a double crochet into that stitch, and then I'm going to chain 3 and I'm going to turn, and I will begin working double crochets into these chain spaces and completing more and more rows of mesh every time. I can alternate the shell and V stitch with the mesh stitch. I can do the shell and V stitch every row, or I can do the mesh stitch every row to create my mesh scarf. So have fun making your mesh scarf with different colors and textures. Again, my name is Wintersgill from Knitting in the Red, and you just learned how to crochet a mesh scarf.